Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week, I conclude my series on Eclipse Phase by giving an overview of the core mechanics and character creation. Now, I am only going to be talking about the core mechanics. This game has a lot of subsystems. Psionics, combat, resleeving, psychic surgery, all these things. I'm not going to talk about them. I just want to give a quick overview of the system and a quick discussion on character creation. So with that out of the way, sit back, relax, and enjoy as I talk about the systems of Eclipse Phase. Eclipse Phase is a percentile-based system. Unlike most percentile-based systems, however, they don't go 1 to 100. They go 0 to 99. 0 being when you roll a double 0 on the percentile die. 99 being when you roll a 9 and a 9. Now, this is a subtle difference, but it's an important one. First off, Eclipse Phase has this concept of you want to roll lower than your target number, but yet you want to roll as close to it as you can. Why is that? Well, first is how opposed tests work. An opposed test goes by whoever succeeded but had the highest number wins that opposed test. So if you have someone trying to convince you to do something, they're going to roll their dice to convince you. You're going to roll your dice to resist. If you succeed with a 55, and they succeed with a 43, you're going to win. Because, yes, they succeeded. This means you actually thought about what they were trying to tell you to do. But ultimately, you say no. That's really how it sort of works. They failed to convince you, but you did think about it. However, there's another reason why you want to get as close to the target number as you can. Say the target number is 70, and you roll a 68. Well, that means you've gotten what they call a superior success. In fact, 66 or higher is 2 superior successes. 2 of the bonuses that you get from gaining a superior success. 33 or higher and still succeeding is, well, it's 1. If you failed, however, let's say you had a situation where your target number was 50 and you rolled a 65. Well, that's a superior failure. 1 superior failure. 66 and lower is 1 superior failure. 33 and lower and failing is 2. That's basically how the system works. You want to roll as high as you can, but still under your target number. However, there's something that trumps even superior successes, and that is criticals. Criticals occur when you roll doubles. If you roll a double 0, that's automatically a critical success. If you roll double 9s, that is automatically a critical failure. Yes, this does mean you could roll a 33 or a 66. Those are critical failures or critical successes. Criticals are much bigger a deal. The GM and player get to decide what happens. While there are some guidance and suggestions, it's very open to GM and player discussion. But it's a big deal, and it trumps superior successes or superior failures. Now, one thing that they have that's a little unique as well are these pools: Insight, Moxie, Vigor, and Flex. Each pool is linked with 2 attributes. Insight is cognition and intuition. Moxie is savvy and willpower. Vigor is reflexive and somatics. Reflexes and somatics. And Flex can be spent anywhere. And what can you do with the pools? Well, on one level, there's stuff you can do that's just straight up changing the results. Before you roll, you can spend a point of, say, Moxie to ignore all modifiers to tests relating to savvy and willpower. Or you could add 20 to your target number. Remember, since you want to roll lower, adding 20 to the target number is giving you a better chance of succeeding. After you roll, you can spend a point from one of these pools to flip the results. So let's say you rolled a 76 and your difficulty is 70. Well, spend a point of, say, Vigor in this case for a somatics-based test, and that 76 is now a 67. You can, of course, upgrade a success to a superior success, or downgrade a critical failure to a normal failure. And you can also spend a point from one of these to give you a +5 bonus to one of your attributes for 24 hours. Flex cannot be spent this way. However, each of these does something different themselves. Insight allows you to take the initiative, to gain an extra mental action, or acquire a clue on something. Moxie allows you to ignore trauma, allows you to refresh your reputation. Again, acquire a clue. If you're an async, it lets you control your infection. And if you make a mistake in a social situation, you can spend a point of Moxie to negate that. Vigor is, of course, taking the initiative again. An extra physical action, or ignoring a wound for 24 hours. Flex is the most versatile. You can use it to introduce an NPC, as in a new or existing NPC joins the scene type situation. You can use it to add an item to a scene. You can spend a point to define something in the environment. You can also spend it to define a relationship between your character and an existing NPC. Now, you're probably wondering where you get these pools from. Well, some implants give you bonuses to them, but most of them come from your morph, the body you're in, which is exactly why we're going to talk about character creation next, because that's where you get your morph, at least your starting morph. So the first thing one should understand with character creation in Eclipse Phase is you are not building a character like you would in a traditional RPG. You are building the mind of a character, because your body is equipment. Like, seriously, you can change your body out. So, what matters isn't what your body can do, it's what your brain can do, what you know how to do. Which leads to why they're called aptitudes, not attributes. And there are 6 core aptitudes: cognition, memory, logic, recalling details, that sort of thing. Intuition, hunches, gut feelings, intuitive leaps, and just, kind of stuff based on predictive actions. And also taking a quick look around a room and seeing, hey, yeah, something's not right here. Oh, it's that thing. Reflexes is about how quickly you react. That could be because you've planned out different contingencies, know what's going to happen, etc., etc. Or it could just be that you're good at processing data really quick and reacting to it. Either way, reflexes is what you use to dodge, or in most cases, do combat. Savvy is the social skill set. It is etiquette and social manipulation and, knowing what looks good and all that details. Somatics is strength and endurance kind of rolled together. You know how to put that stride into a run to run a longer distance. You know how to use a body's leverage to move something heavy. That sort of thing. Willpower is, willpower. It's resisting interrogation. It's keeping yourself going when everything else says you should stop. All those sorts of things. And now that you know what the aptitudes are, we can start moving step by step through character creation. The first step is background. Your character came from somewhere. Maybe your character was a colonist. Maybe your character was from one of the enclaves of the rich and powerful. Maybe your character was from the Lost Generation. Maybe you're an octopus that was elevated to sentience and for some reason is in a human body. It doesn't matter at this point, really. These all give you a set of skills, though. The uplift example, the octopus, would have athletics, fray, kinesics, perceive, provoke, survival. He would know one knowledge skill of either uplift culture or uplift rights, and would know one skill of genetics, sociology, or zoology. And skill packages like this, first off, all of them are going to have a knowledge skill of 60 and a knowledge skill of 30. And they're all going to have about the same number of active skills. Most of these active skills are going to vary. Like an Enclaver from one of the... on Earth, you lived a life of precarious but protected stability in a defended enclave. You lived among the rich and powerful. That one would have athletics, interface. Interface is the skill for interacting with people. Kinesics, which is the skill at reading people. Persuade, piloting ground. Programming. And of course would know either celebrity gossip, pop culture, or sports at 60. And would know either economics, education, or psychology at 30. But your background was pretty much that. And background sets up where you came from. Now, after background comes your career. And your career skills are based on what you do. Maybe you're the face of the party with Deceive, Kinesics, Persuade. Maybe you're the soldier with Fray, Guns, and Melee. Whatever you do, there is a skill package that covers that. And then you have interest. Because a character is more than their background and their job. They all have something special that sets them apart. Interests are things like maybe you're an artist, maybe you're a forensic specialist, maybe you're a spacer or a survivalist. Either way, you're going to have skills from stuff you do beyond just your career and background. And these are almost always going to relate in some way, but, maybe not. If you were looking from a purely mechanical perspective, you might choose things to get as broad a skill base as you want or can. Once you select your skills, you then pick your faction. And there are a bunch of different factions in Eclipse Phase. I'm not really going to go over all of them, but some of the more notable are the Argonauts. These are techno-progressives. Scientists trying to push the boundaries, basically. Of course, you've got Mercurials, who tend to be AIs and uplifts. Reclaimers, these are people who want to reclaim the Earth. And, the faction you pick, this is going to tell you a lot about your goals. What you're trying to do in the long term. And then if you've picked all of those, you pick your aptitude template. See, this is what is kind of interesting. You don't start off just with any old set of aptitudes. There's 7 templates. And each of these templates puts one aptitude kind of higher than the others. With the exception of what they call the factotum. You never quite stood out, but you exhibit broad competence. That one is 15 across the board. However, like the Actioneer template, It is 15 in intuition and will. It is 10 in cognition and savvy, but 20 in reflex and somatics. Because the actioneer is about doing things, is about physicality. While the extrovert puts intuition and savvy at 20, somatics and reflexes at 15, and cognition and willpower at 10. I'm just a pretty face, I don't need to think type setup. I would hate someone playing that in my group. It would be funny, but yeah. No, not the extrovert, the I'm just a pretty face, I don't need to think attitude. Then after you've done this, you total up your skills. You add all the skills in, plus the linked aptitude with them. Any skills that are over 80, you get to move those skill points around to somewhere else. Then you get to pick your languages. If every character knows at least 2 languages, combine that with if your cognition plus intuition is 35 or higher, you choose 1 additional language. If your cognition and intuition is 45 or higher, you choose 2 more languages. And, these are the typical languages. Note that you can buy additional languages at the cost of 1 customization point. And of course, you start off with 1 point of flex. In addition to whatever your morph will give you, you always have at least 1 point of flex. And then you get 100 reputation points spread between rep networks. There are multiple reputation groups, and reputation is sort of your economy in this. You generally want to put like 50 points into your main group, and then split the others however you want between 2 to 3 others. But you might want to put all of them in one. Either way. Then we come to customization. And here's pretty much how customization works. You can get 5 points of rep, 5 skill points for 1 customization point. You can add a specialization. If you're psychic, you can add a psychic sleight. You can add a language, or you can add a aptitude for 1 customization point. You can spend 3 customization points to add 1 flex. Or you can use customization points to buy ego traits. Once you've spent all your customization points, which does include getting negative traits back and gaining points from negative traits, you calculate your derived stats of initiative, lucidity, trauma threshold, insanity rating, and if you're an async, infection rating. And then you pick your starting morphin gear. you have 6 morph points to spend on your first morph. So your first morph can be up to 6 morph points. If you go lower than that, well, you can use those remaining morph points to buy morph traits. Or you could trade them in for resources to buy gear. And, of course, one of the more interesting things is your gear selection is straightforward. Your gear is, you pick your gear from, first off, the campaign pack. So you get a campaign pack based on the type of game it is. If it's a Firewall Agent Criminal campaign, you get the Firewall Agent Criminal campaign pack. Campaign gear. If you're gate crashing, you get gate crashing gear. And then you get gear related to your profession. So if you are an academic, you get gear for an academic. If you are a soldier, you get a lot of combat gear. Like, seriously, a soldier gets an assault railgun, enhanced vision implant, 5 doses of Grin, 5 doses of meds, and what's called Neurochem, which gives you +2 to your vigor. And the purpose of Neurochem is that it enhances your synapses and neurotransmitters. Of course, if you are a synth morph, there are alternatives on many of these. For instance, on the soldier, instead of the 5 doses of meds, you get a fixer swarm, which does the same thing, just it's nanobots repairing a machine versus stuff that speeds up your healing. And with that, we've covered character creation. I'm not going to talk about all the different traits. There's a lot of them. And I'm not going to go into the specific morphs because there are a lot of them. Next week, I'm going to be talking about a RPG that's been a little bit on the misunderstood or mischaracterized side. And I look forward to it because it's sort of an obscure one. Like, more obscure than most. Next week, I'm going to be talking about Immortal. So until then, I want you all to remember to have fun and keep gaming.